Hello and welcome back. This is Larry Yatch with SEAL Team Leaders, and I'm here to share another important lesson in being able to coordinate action well as a team. This time I want to take a different tack than usual. Instead of just giving you the lesson, I want to share a transformation that we had with one of our clients. So being able to bring some of these lessons into the real world so you can see how others have been applying them. So this was on a coaching call that I had just a couple days ago, where I have a operations officer, so a chief operations officer of a $450 million a year healthcare company. And her job, she got hired to be able to help transformation of this organization. So the organization is currently in one small part of healthcare, and over the next couple of years, they're going to have to transition from just interacting with mental health into being able to take care of holistic healthcare for an entire individual or entire life. And so this is a major transition for an organization. And whenever there's transition or change, there's going to be conflict that comes from that. And that conflict is almost always solved with either learning something or teaching something, sharing that knowledge. And the key problem that she came to me with was this issue that her CEO is not as engaged in being able to create clear direction as she would like, meaning being able to make sure that she had very clear understandings of where to go. And so this organization in general has a lack of planning culture, meaning that they don't spend a lot of time, or at least in the past, haven't spent a lot of time when it came to planning. And it made sense because they are paid through government contracts. The servicing of what they're doing is very consistent. So in their history, there wasn't a need for planning, because generally it was making sure the core skills, the core actions of what they needed to do were done. As long as that was done on a consistent basis, everything was going to be okay. But as they head into this new environment of having to absolutely change their organization by taking on significantly more responsibilities, all of a sudden the need to increase the planning culture within the organization, the amount of time, resources, and people involved in planning was going to have to change dramatically. And so she came to me with this concern of how could she create an environment for her CEO to be able to give her clearer guidance. And that's where we fell into one of our most important tools, which is the tool of desired end states. And any time that we are in an environment that is changing rapidly, and this came directly from my time as a SEAL. In the SEALs, we were always given impossible missions in horrible environments, in ever-changing situations. And in those environments, our commanding officers couldn't give us very clear actions. Do this to be successful. The reason being is by the time we got out into the field, most likely the environment had changed enough that those direct action requests or directions wouldn't be valid. So our commanding officers had to create an environment for us that we were able to know the best way to do something, not specifically and tactically, but by understanding their intention. And that intention came through with commander's intent. Commander's intent was a description of the battle space after we were successful. So instead of sharing strategies and tactics with us when it came to directing our action, what they did instead was give us a description of what it looks like for us to be successful, which then enabled us to identify, as the subject matter experts, the applicable strategies and tactics necessary to execute on that. And so this was going to be the same environment for her. It was going to be an environment that was changing very rapidly, and that there was risk. If they don't get this right, they suffer all sorts of consequences as an organization. And you have, in this old history of planning, this mentality of the same thing every day. And from that, we can create direction through strategies and tactics. But now that we're switching into this new environment, she had to start creating an environment for the CEO to start talking in his intentions for the future as opposed to these specific tactics. And the way that we identified doing that was by adding some structure to the meetings, by being able to create a structure for him to provide this information on a consistent basis. And the key parts to the desired end state conversation was first talking about the history of what got us there, then talking about the current situation based on the obligations that he sees as the commander in the moment, and then talking about the future situation that he wants her to create in the execution of this plan. And so I gave her the details of each one of those sections, the history, where did we come from, the current situation based on the obligations, and the future situation based on the desired end state. By giving her this structure, she now could go into conversations with the CEO by asking him questions. By giving him questions as opposed to assuming and requesting for him to give all this information to her, she could guide the conversations and start creating a habit in his shoes of being able to produce these desired end states. And so this little tactic of being able to provide structure for somewhere there's a vacuum of structure enables us to start moving culture without a lot of conflict. So hopefully that was useful. I know for her, I'm looking forward for the future conversations we have to see what are the effects of being able to change this planning culture from the top of the organization to the bottom. So enjoy that little lesson, that little story, and I look forward to seeing you back on this channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and reach out to us anytime with any problems you may be having with coordination of action with your teams. This is Larry Yatch, and I look forward to seeing you next time.